listening to Lucky Hawk Talks, the show where Lucky Hawk talks. Now here's your host, Lucky Hawk.
Hello and welcome to another classic edition of Lucky Hawk Talks. I'm your host, Lucky Hawk, and today's episode comes from May 26, 2013. And I'm speaking with Clyde Kusatsu. You may not recognize the name, but you certainly will recognize the face, as he's been in countless legendary television productions such as All in the Family, MASH, Hawaii Five-0, Kung Fu, Taxi, MacGyver, even Family Matters. I get deep in a conversation with Mr. Kusatsu about the art of acting, playing different races, which is a pretty hot button topic today, and what exactly got him into acting in the first place. So please, sit back, relax, listen up, try to learn something. What initially drew you to acting?
I always kind of wanted to act. Growing up in Hawaii in the 50s and everything, it was we were sort of like a backwater. At one time, there was only one TV station, and as each progress came from another TV station and another TV station, to fill up the airtime, these stations would buy up the Warner Brothers Film Library, the MGM Film Library, 20th, the whole thing, and it would have constant, like, Penthouse Playhouse or afternoon theaters. He just sort of like, in a nutshell, kind of like grew up with, like, say, Judy Garland and Andy Hart and Mickey Rooney. Let's do a show, that kind of stuff, you know. Mm-hmm. And the Little Rascals and Art and comedy, they always were doing shows. And it looked fun, and it looked different. And growing up Asian American back in the day, it was sort of like, there were still, I grew up when there were still distinctions, class, race distinctions. I still can remember that people don't realize that Hawaii basically still was a plantation society from only, instead of cotton and rice, ours was pineapples and sugarcane. Mm. And there was a sort of kind of the thems and the haves type of thing, and there was definitely class structure involved. And I don't know, probably at a young age I thought, I don't want to settle for this, you know, and there's got to be some opportunity, and we're all have an opportunity to kind of reach for the stars, so to speak, you know, and not accept where you're supposed to be. And it was kind of radical thought for even an Asian American kid growing up. It was like, ooh, where'd you get those ideas? They're kind of strange. You know, if you went to school, you wanted to get an education to become a doctor or a lawyer or a teacher. And the very idea of, like, wanting, you know, that secret dream of being in movies and television was like, it was kind of alien, you know. But just studying, nose to grindstone, and I got my first break in 1973 in an episode of Kung Fu with David Carradine. And unbuilt, but I was Jing Sun, and I got to wear a cowboy hat, boots, and the only thing Asian was the vest I wore as a Chinese miner, and I carried one of those John Wayne type Winchesters with the big ring. And it was a thrill to be on the lot of Warner Brothers going, oh my God, I'm working here. And those were the days when, interestingly enough, if you had some ability, you could be cast in different roles each season in the same TV show without any, you know, thing like, oh, no, the audience would recognize you as this. And it was kind of a greater kind of an opportunity. So I wound up doing about 5 of the Kung Fus in the course of their run.
Now, at the time of your appearance on Kung Fu, there was controversy that David Carradine, obviously a white man, was playing a half Chinese character.
Right.
What did you think of this at that time?
Oh, no, that was very controversial. And, you know, I mean, originally, I believe the legend is that Bruce Lee was considered for that role. But, you know, you got to remember the times. It was 73, to the first, so 72, 73. And, at that time you as an Asian, there was no context of anybody being able to be the lead of the show. And if they could find it to be workable, like being Eurasian, because so in a way, Kane's character was half Chinese and half Caucasian. So there you have it. It's sort of like it's a functionality of being able to do the show. And interestingly, on the other side of it all, even with the notoriety and the great debate about it, it became like a first time a TV show that has Asian topic became like a hit. At least it had a 3-year run. So that in itself, you have to look at as kind of progress. Because otherwise it would say, no, the network execs go, no, it won't fly. It's got to, everything's got to look like Robert Young and Father Knows Best or Ozzie and Harriet. I look at Kung Fu as an opportunity that got audiences familiar with the Asian culture. And it was a kick-ass Asian man with his skills in Kung Fu and martial arts that really was impressive to most people.
Now, you yourself have played a wide spectrum of ethnicities among the Asian community, even though you yourself are Japanese American. Do you ever get any flack for playing non-Japanese or Japanese American roles?
Well, I take a look at it this way: it is the actor's responsibility to do the research, cultural and historical, and to even pattern their accent or whatever and familiarize so that you do not do harm or create a stereotype with the various ethnicities. And a lot of actors sometimes get lazy about that. But on the flip side, there's no questioning when for example, when you got Kenneth Branagh playing a Swedish detective named Wallander, or you've got good actors playing Russians or every ethnic possible in Europe, or that kind of a thing, because they do their homework and they hone their skills, and that's part of their instrument. For example, if you take a look at who's on the air these days, Damian Lewis from Homeland is from England. His big break was Band of Brothers, where he played a guy from the Midwest. There's a guy in Glades, who's the star of Glades, that's on A&E, who's from Australia. And there's another guy on A&E on Longmire, he's from Australia, a guy named Robert Taylor. There's a stunning array, because they're able to absorb the culture, but that's the acting, that's professional acting. So I think part of it's got to the point, though, is to become hypersensitive, because in a way, the Asian actor winds up in this special box, and the code word is called, we're looking for authentic. And if you don't fit that box, you're not considered, because you may offend that specific cultural authenticity, and they don't want to have the letters coming in. However, at the same time, you got Memoirs of a Geisha, and which studio said, I'll tell you what, how we can sell this. We'll get the top Asian actresses that are box office, but they happen to be Chinese, which of course then blew a whole controversy in Japan, because there's just certain cultural ways of walking and wearing the costumes. There is a specific reason why the garb is how it's worn, how it's dealt with when you walk and move, and you have to learn that. I learned, because I was Asian American, but at East West Players, we had done a lot of Asian themed productions, and Mako being originally from Japan, we have different kinds of period Asian dress, kimonos or hakamas and all that kind of stuff. So I had some familiarity, so that when I found myself in in Kyoto on a John Frankenheimer picture with Kishiro Mifune and Scott Glenn called The Challenge, where I was playing Japanese. Now, all my wardrobe was in kimono, a male kimono garb, and but I was able to make it work because I had done my research and was able to wear it comfortably.
So you had a recurring role as Reverend Chong on the groundbreaking sitcom All in the Family. What was it like being a part of that iconic show?
Oh, it was a thrill. And you realize that no show these days gets the number that All in the Family were getting on a consistent basis. And they were doing it on a Saturday night, too. I mean, Saturday night today is like, it was the lowest viewing night yet. It was like iconic. And a friend of mine was, at that time, the assistant stage manager, and he was telling me that people were kind of concerned whether I could come up, because Carol could be very intimidating. Even a great character actor named Jack Guilford kind of was turned to jelly working with Carol. And it was just, well, I just worked hard, and the time that I really knew that at least I nailed it was, and All in the Family was unique in the sense that they didn't do a lot of pickups. You ran it like the little show, and you filmed it. And then you had a meal, and you took notes, and then you did the show again. And a lot of times it was there, it's in the can. They didn't do a lot of pickups at that time, so there was an added pressure, performance pressure. So that's the night of the day of the taping. We did the first show, and then at dinner during the notes, before we started, Norman Lear sat down across from me, saw me, and then jumped up, made a direct line to me, and shook my hand and said, "You're funny." And it was like I was blessed by King Arthur, and then everybody else relaxed. And plus, if you see that show, the whole, you can look at it and go, "That's so stupid, Ching Chong, it sounds kind of stereotypic, isn't it?" I said, well, at the same time, it was there to set up for a purpose. When I say Mr. Pinker, and he goes, "Bunker," and I go, "Whatever." The same thing he was doing. So I gave Archie back what he was giving me, which was kind of a unique opportunity. You get a kind of a nice rapport with Carol. I mean, there was kind of a respect. So it's one of those things. It's like you don't get the respect for asking it. You got to get that respect from demonstrating and doing it and being in the cauldron. You know what I mean?
Yeah, certainly.
That you perform. Basically, that's it.
You appeared as Vice Admiral Nakamura on several episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation. How did you come into working on that show?
I kept auditioning with Rick Berman and never getting cast. And in fact, Star Trek Voyager, Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He was a part of the Ferengi. Was one of the main characters of a regular, and I had made it down to the finals as a Ferengi, to the point where my agent said to me, "How would you feel like doing 7 years with a big head, being an alien?" I said, "I have no problem with that." And then, of course, it went to Armin Shimmerman. He was cast instead, but I considered it a feather to be able to be in the finals for it. So, and it just was one of those things came up, and they were looking for the admiral who happened to be the classmate of Patrick Stewart's character, Space Academy, and they wanted to make it Asian. And I thought, that's cool. So they had to age me for that to match up with Patrick. So I guess I got good genes, so that it's very hard to place me as to what my true age is sometimes, unless you go to imdb.com or go Google and you can find out the exact age. So it was kind of neat to be fitted out for the outfit, do the makeup for $2, and then find yourself on the set on the Bridge Enterprise. And it's like, I mean, I love the show, Star Trek, and so it was a gas. And for that episode as well, to work with Brent Spiner, I've worked with Brent in a pilot years before called, nobody knows about it. Jim Neighbors was the star, and it was called Sprayberry in Paradise. And it was basically Gomer Pyle in Hawaii, working in a hotel. But Brent was in it, and it was the first sitcom experience for one young Courtney Cox at the time, whose previous job was it was an 82 show called Misfits of Science. I think it was the Misfits of Science. Could have been that show. At any rate, it was one of those kind of, when you look back on it, you're going, wow. And I remember when, as the show was progressing, Brent would always go, oh, God, I've got to wear that. Finally, to the point where every time I saw Brent, I'd say, Brent, what's going into the bank every week? And then finally, yeah, I got it. When you think about it, not only did he have 7 years on it, but he had all those films as well. And sometimes you have to. I've learned in the way that you have to look at it in terms of business. Why one does it, and one has to make the choices for oneself. One always has to be thinking about being level-headed about it and being responsible. It's kind of cool. This business is so interesting that for some audiences in the genre of science fiction, I consider Admiral Nakamura. I have a lot of black fans that come up and say, "Oh, you were the Principal Shimada in what can I think of it right now?
Family Matters.
Pardon me?
Was it Family Matters?
Yeah, Family Matters. Or then other people say, "Oh, you were in Magnum PI." So it's like different audiences with different shows, and so you're known. It's interesting what people remember you from. Have you seen, by the way, Searching for Sugar Man?
I have not.
It's a great documentary. If you can find it, look at it, because there's a guy that he had 2 albums in 1970 and sold less than 10, but unbeknownst to him, he became a superstar in South Africa because it just coincided with the whole breakdown of apartheid. And his kind of career in South Africa got resurrected. But he's like 70 years old now and still got a voice, but it's an interesting character study in a guy that even though his albums didn't go, he had his work ethic, and he was a day laborer in construction. And then he was still able, years later, to pick up the guitar and sing his songs,
You were in the series finale of Star Trek, All Good Things. What was it like being on the end of such a huge show?
Well, it was a thrill to be part of history, of course. And interestingly enough, it was professional. You were doing an episode. You're shooting an episode, so nothing like, oh my God, we found the Holy Grail or something like that, or we're going to lock up the Temple of Doom so nobody else would find it. It was, you just did your job, but it never left you the realization that you're doing something kind of significant, at least cultural-wise, in the historical perspective of the Star Trek franchise. So, like anything, I think the main emotion was, wow, it's cool. I'm glad I'm part of this one. I'm really part to be able to go out on the final one. It's kind of nice.
There you have it from Clyde Kusatsu. The man is a fountain of wisdom. I could have spoke to him for hours on end, but unfortunately, that's it for this episode. If you enjoyed this interview and you want more from me, check out all the other interviews I've done on this channel. And if that's not enough, go to amazon.com/author/LuckyHawk. You'll have access to every interview I've ever done. It's free if you have Kindle Unlimited. If not, Each edition is just 99 cents. But until next time, this has been Lucky Hawk. I'll talk to you later.